हमारा डिस्कशन में थोड़ा टाइम गया, अदरवाइज आई वुड हैव लाइक करेक्टली मैं
नहीं,
1
this is a part of it, na?
या नहीं मैं बता रहा
Discussion is part of it.
हूँ
That
या
is not a problem.
so risk management. So first of all, before discussing about management, we have to know what is risk. Okay.
Okay.
So if I ask someone what is risk, so the answer, like many people will give different notions. What I want to explain you about risk is nothing but risk is that element
Mm-hmm.
uh, risk is nothing but that element. If I have to design, if I have to define it,
Mm.
like I can say that what do you expect and what you really get.
Okay.
The difference between these is due to the element called risk. Okay.
Right.
So risk, if I have to define, risk is nothing but it is something. If we need to define it easily, we can say what you expect. So this particular expect in the sense has a deeper meaning. Here with expect I mean to say mean or average.
Okay.
Okay, in the world of finance, any investor who invests in a mutual fund or in a stock would
Mm.
like to know what average returns he is going to get from that stock, correct? So
Correct.
let's say a company is promising an average return of 10%. So
Mm.
this is what you're expecting, am I right?
Mm. Right.
So when I say expectation, I mean to say mean or average, correct?
Right.
So what you expect is 10%. If you got 12%, you got
Mm.
excess 2%. That excess 2% is because of element called
Risk.
risk. And if you got, so that means you took excess risk to get excess returns. Am I right?
Right. More you
And
invest, more is the
yeah,
risk.
so what you expect is 10%. What you really got is 12%. And this is because of this element called risk. Okay.
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 Risk is good, risk is even bad. See, good when we get good
Mm.
returns. Here when you get 12% returns, you are happy, but
Mm.
but you have taken a higher amount of risk for that, isn't it so?
Right.
So but if I get 8% returns, that means I have taken 2% less risk, maybe.
Mm.
See, if I expect 10%, I got 12%. This extra 2% I got because of the element called risk. Okay.
Right.
I expected 10%, I got 8%. This less 2% is because of the element called again
Risk.
risk. Here
Mm.
risk is less risk. Here the risk is high,
Right.
because there is a saying, the more the risk you take, the more the returns you should expect.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is what is all about risk in the world of finance. Risk happens to be seen in this way. Let me draw a small diagram to explain you in a more proper manner. So risk is measured by standard deviation. So suppose this is a normal distribution curve, and this is it's a bell-shaped curve. Okay.
Mm.
So this is average. So how much returns I expected? 10%. I got
Right.
12%. I got maybe 8%. So this excess or this less is because of the element called risk. So I can say like I took 2%. Let's say I took some. Let's say the standard deviation is 1% here. So here this graph shows the deviations. What does it show?
Deviations.
So let's say here I took 2% more risk to get this returns, and here I took 2% less risk to get this returns. So the deviation is nothing but what here? Standard deviation 2%. This standard
2%.
deviation shows what? Risk. Am I
Risk.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So many people they get confused with risk and uncertainty. See, risk is something which is always there. It is inevitable. You cannot remove that. You cannot eliminate that. Risk
True.
cannot be eliminated. If you are running an organization and there is some fraud happening, whatever internal control you set up in your company, whatever
Mm.
mechanism you set up in your company, but there is a chance of fraud, still there is a chance of fraud, correct?
Mm-hmm.
It is
True.
happening, it is going on, and it is going on since ages. It's not a new thing we are seeing. So we cannot eliminate that element, but we can try to minimize that. What we can do?
We can try to minimize the risk.
Yeah, risk cannot be
Eliminated. It can be minimized.
eliminated, but it can be mitigated.
Mitigated. Okay.
Okay. Now,
Okay.
but uncertainty is something for which we have no answers. It comes up suddenly, and
Mm.
not everyone
Market
is well
crash
prepared. Yeah, not everyone
suddenly.
is well prepared of that. But risk,
Mm.
everyone knows what risk they have in if they are doing some task. Okay, accordingly
Okay.
they can plan, and accordingly they can do that activity. Correct.
Right.
Let's say a small example if we take to understand in a more proper manner. Like, just a second. So let's say there are three friends who are going to Bangalore. Okay,
Okay.
take a small example and understand this in a more proper manner. Friends who are going to Bengaluru, and they are like going. They have three cars in that case. So there are
Mm-hmm.
there are three cars. Like three friends are going in. Okay, and when we see the Google, when we see in Google, Bangalore happens to be 560 kilometers away from Hyderabad, and it takes
Mm-hmm.
10 hours to travel to Bengaluru from Hyderabad. And like the 10 hours is based upon 80 kilometers per hour speed. Why? Because the permissible speed limit on the highway is 80 kilometers per hour. Okay, okay.
Right. Right. Mm. Hello.
Hello?
Sir,
Yes.
huh.
Yeah. So 560 kilometers is the distance, and from here it takes 10 hours to reach Bengaluru, and 80 kilometers per hour is the permissible speed limit. Now let's say this is Sia's vehicle, a sedan class, a Verna, a sedan class, and let's say this one like what people Honda City. Everyone
Okay.
knows this, what kind of cars these are. These are sedans. So these are three. All the three cars are of similar kind, and they go 200 kilometers. Like till 200 kilometers, they follow the same kind of speed, like 80 kilometers per hour. But after
Mm-hmm.
200 kilometers, the guy who is in Varna, he wants to take a diversion. He learns that if he takes a right turn, there is a hilly terrain. That means a hill, and if there are some three or four hills, if we
Mm.
cross these three or four hills, it's a hilly terrain, the road is not good, there's a lot of risk involved in this, but he will reach Bengaluru in half the time. Okay, so he takes
Right.
this. And this guy, the guy who is in Sias is like, he doesn't want to follow this speed limits, he wants to reach soon. So
Mm.
he wants to go at 120 kilometers per hour, and this guy wants to only follow the speed limits, and 80 kilometers per hour is what he wants to reach. Okay, so what is the
Okay.
benefit these three would get? You should understand. The guy who is in Varna, he is taking the maximum risk. Here, my
Mm.
reward is time. Saving of
Mm.
time is my reward. Okay,
Mm.
so if I
Right.
take the maximum risk, there are equally likely chances that he can meet with an accident or whatever. But
Mm.
he's still taking that risk, and he's reaching Bengaluru in just 6 hours.
Few,
What he
six
can do is he
hours.
can go for a movie of three
Mm.
hours. He can do a
Mm.
shopping for 1 hour, and he can again start back to Hyderabad. Correct?
Right.
He took the highest risk. He got the highest returns in form of time. 4 hours he saved. Here,
Mm.
guy has also taken a higher risk. He's reaching in 8 hours, but less benefits from this guy. He is not able to go for a movie. He's just going for a shopping of 1 hour, and is again like he has to be back. Correct.
Correct.
So he will soon he will reach Hyderabad very sooner than others. He will reach second, and he will reach at 10 or 11 hours. He has no rewards. Okay, the only reward is he has reached safely. Fine, they also reached. Until and unless there's no problem to you, risk is good. But if some problem crops up, then it's not good for you. Am I
It's
right?
not good. Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
So he is not able to take the maximum benefit because he has taken the least risk. Okay, that's that.
True.
Now let's move forward. See, like risk management, there is a organization, okay,
Okay.
which timely publishes something or the other regarding the risk. See, I even give a course called FRM, Financial Risk Management. Risk is not a small field; it is like a very vast field. There is a course called Actuarial Science, whereby people
Okay.
become actuary and they work in organizations, and they try to minimize the all kind of risks to which an organization is like exposed to. FRM only focuses on financial risk, what an organization is exposed to, it tries to minimize that. So these are the job roles. You know, this it's a field, it's a completely different field. And since you have
Correct.
learned ethics and you're doing a CMA course, so you will
Mm.
also be someone who will be in internal control department of an organization, and you have to study. For that reason, you have to study what kind of risk the organization is exposed to, and where you have to put all your skills to minimize that. Okay.
Okay.
So the topic of risk management begins with a discussion of traditional risk management, then discusses ERM, enterprise risk management, and finally moves into a discussion of ERM framework. So how the organizations, the enterprise can minimize its risk. Before minimizing, they also should know what kind of risk they are exposed to. So the entire
Exactly.
framework has been published or given by COSO, Committee of Sponsoring Organization of Tradeway Commission. Okay.
Right.
So ERM integrating with strategy and performance 2017, some document has been released. So like that is what they are giving here. Now, definition of ERM. So very clearly you can understand we are discussing about the risk to which enterprise is exposed to and how we have to manage that. Okay.
Mm.
So that entire thing is done by the risk manager of a company under the ERM, enterprise risk management. Okay. Now, so enterprise risk management frameworks, elements and integration published by Institute of Management Accountants IMA as part of their statements on management accounting series defines risk as follows. So we have already discussed about what is a risk, but IMA has given their own notion or version of risk. A risk is any event or action that can keep an organization from achieving its objectives, that can keep an organization from, see,
Mm.
you want to achieve some goal, but
Mm.
you are like getting diverted from that goal. That is because of what?
Risk only.
The goal is I want to achieve 10% returns this year, but I got 7%. That is because of what is keeping me away from what I expected.
That is risk percentage.
Now, so the preceding definition frames risk in negative terms. That is,
Mm-hmm.
risks are events that might cause harm to a business. But I said you already, risk is not always bad. If it is doing good for you, it is good. But if it does
Mm.
bad, it's bad. Okay,
Right.
correct?
Rare. Yes,
You
agree.
cannot take risk always in negative. You should
Correct.
always not take risk in negative way. Risk, when
Mm-hmm.
it is giving you good benefits, you are happy, na? Then how come you can take that in negative way?
True.
That is what they are saying. The preceding definition
Mm.
frames risk in negative terms. That is, risks are events that might cause harm to a business. But do you think always it is?
Harmful. Not always
Not
harmful.
always. If you are getting good
Mm.
returns, and how it is
How?
harmful?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that means by like I know what risks I have. I am taking them in a calculated way, and I'm getting good returns. What's the bad thing in that?
Correct. Mm.
So risk is not the same as uncertainty. Already discussed. Something that is uncertain is not known or not definite. But we know what risks we have.
True.
But we don't know what new risks we may have. We know what risks we have. Okay.
Right.
So uncertainty is something else, and risk is something else. Enterprise risk management is what? A structured and disciplined approach. Of course, when it is management is nothing but the art of getting things done.
Right.
Art of getting things done efficiently is management. Okay.
Mm. Mm.
So definitely disciplined approach has to be there. So it aligns strategy, whatever plans you make, processes, technology and knowledge. That means you're clubbing all of them, using all of them to minimize what? Risk. Correct?
Risk. Right.
Casualty and actuarial society. I already told you about this. Actuarial science
Mm-hmm.
defines ERM as the discipline by which an organization in an industry assesses, controls, exploits, finances, and monitors risk from all the sources for purpose of increasing the organization's short, long-term value to its stakeholder. That means what the casualty actuarial society has given their own version regarding risk is, it is nothing but ERM is the discipline by which an
Mm-hmm.
organization and industry can assess, that means study, control if things are going out of control, exploit, that means if they have got some chance to minimize that risk, they are exploiting that, and also they want money for all this because they have to collect data and everything for studying that risk, for doing assessment, and they also monitor risk, okay, from all sources. And why are they doing this? They want to decrease that, minimize that risk, and the purpose is of increasing the organization's short-term and long-term value to its stakeholder. That means they want to improve the value of the firm by reducing all the risks to firm. Am I right?
Correct. Yeah.
I do, like, what are the benefits of risk management? The only benefit of a risk management or separate risk management department is nothing but they are working like hard, and they are always working for minimizing the risks to which an organization is exposed to, or any negative event what organization is exposed to, and what can cause a organization, or what can impact an organization. Now,
True.
different organizations and industries will experience different benefits from effective risk management. However, some of the common benefits include increasing shareholder value. If risks are reduced,
Mm.
definitely the probability of profits is high, and the probability of losses would be less. So your losses, the probability of profits would be high and losses would be less, is good for you, correct?
Mm.
And there are very fewer disruptions to operations, because if no fraud, suppose fraud risk is a risk, and if that is kind of happening in a company, then what? Everything comes to a standstill. Now what is happening with Adani group of companies? What is happening now? The
It's
stock
falling down.
falling, and all investigations and everything has been called for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that disrupts the operation, isn't it so? So if
Correct.
you have a risk management department, that they would protect the company from having all this, from happening all this in the organization, and better utilization of resources.
Okay.
Then next point is fewer shocks, welcome surprises. Of course, at most sudden there's a big in Adani group. It's a shock, isn't it so? So,
Right.
like, we cannot rule out shocks may not happen. Shocks may come. Like COVID-19 is also a shock for us. Shock is nothing but a sudden event which has cropped up, so which we were not prepared for. We cannot rule out a risk, but we were not immediately prepared for that. That has happened. But if you have a proper risk management, then such kind of shocks would be less, and even unwelcome surprises also would be less. And employees, other stakeholders, and relevant governing and regulatory bodies are more confident in the organization. Of course, if you have a very robust risk management department, and you
Mm-hmm.
have a risk director and a risk manager, and like, if they are appointed by the company, then the regulatory bodies and the government would be much more confident in that organization. Okay, and the profile of the organization would be like the profile, it will like kind of improve the profile of the organization. More effective strategic planning, better cost control, because you are saving cost of the organization as a lot of risk has been minimized. Timelier assessment of and grasp of new opportunities, better and more complete contingency planning. Contingency is nothing but in future we don't know what is going to happen. So in future there may be certain events which may happen or may not happen. Those events are called
Contingency.
contingent events. So such kind of events, we may have a better plan to like to overcome these kind of things in the future. Improved ability to meet objectives and take advantage of opportunities. That means whatever the objectives we have like in our, we have framed or we have developed in the company. That means we have some objectives now. So that kind of objectives can be more properly achieved, and we can take good advantage of opportunity.
Right.
So if you have ERM, these all things these all kind of risks, whatever we have discussed, can be minimized, and organization like would be like you will be having fewer disruptions or more confidence in running the organization. Just a second, soon.
Published by the Institutes of Management Accountants as part of the state.
Yeah, okay. Just one. Yeah. Now, types of risk. So first one is strategic risk. So strategic risk is what actually companies in company, the board of directors prepare their strategies, correct?
Right.
If those strategies what they are preparing doesn't give the desired results, what they're expecting and what they're
Getting.
expecting is some desired result, but they're not getting that. It is
Right.
because of the strategic risk, correct?
Right.
So are the entity level risks that affect the whole organization. If the strategies are not working out for the company, the entire company would suffer. Some
True.
examples of strategic risk include the economy, global market. Some of the examples of strategic risk include the economy, global market conditions, and the risks that are connected to the organization itself, such as reputation risk, brand risk, leadership risk, risk of customers needs changing. So entity level risk also include risks related to actions of competitors and changes in the regulation. So these are all the factors which could impact our strategy. Am I right?
True.
So we made our strategy when the economy was very stable, but at most sudden what happened? There was a recession, so that strategy won't work out. Correct?
Mm.
Just a second. Sir.
Direct level risks that affect the whole organization. Some example of a strategic risk include the economic, global market condition, and risks that are connected to the organization itself, such as reputation risk, brand risk, leadership risk, and the risk of the customer needs changing. Entity level risk also include risk related to actions of competitors and changes in the regulation to which business is subjected, as regulatory changes could cause significant increase in compliance expense. Of particularly note are the unforeseeable detrimental effects associated with political risk. Political risk arise when political condition in given country cause a company investment or assets in that country or in other interests.
Yeah. So see, we the directors make strategies in good stable conditions maybe, but the economy has suddenly gone into recession. Global market conditions maybe has suddenly changed. Okay, and everything was all right, but something has caused the reputation. The brand is like having some issues. Maybe leadership is not functioning well, or maybe customers needs are changing. So all these are nothing but something what we made our strategy something different, and these are all kind of things because of which whatever the strategy we made, accordingly we wanted the desired results, we are not getting. Am I right?
Right.
We wanted to get some desired results based upon our strategy, but we are not getting that because all
Mm.
these things have changed, and that has caused our strategy to our strategy to not work, isn't it so?
Correct.
Yeah. And then political risk cannot be ruled out if suddenly we are in a good environment right now and the political leadership changes. What happens? More corruption, things become worthless in a company. Okay, seizure of private property, civil unrest, war. All these are nothing but risk or not for your company, for
Yes.
your organization. Correct?
Yes. Yes.
So what we can do is we have to work hard to mitigate that. See, suddenly something happens is nothing but uncertainty. But why you go into such country where all these things are there? Why you
Mm.
want to choose such economy where all these things are there? Why all the companies want to come to India, and why they want to invest in India, and they want to start manufacturing, and they want to set up their office here? Because they don't want these kind of risks to happen. They want all this to be minimized. So that's the reason why they choose India as a base. Am I right?
Right.
Operational risk. See, this is like a problem for every organization. Okay, this is the root cause of this is nothing but failed internal processes, people or systems.
Mm.
So of course every organization has ethics, and we have every organization has they educate or they train all their employees related to ethics. But fraud triangle we yesterday discussed, pressure, correct,
Mm. Mm. Right.
and
Both
rationalization.
those kind of reasons.
Yeah, there are some reasons because of which the employees do fraud, so that cannot be ruled out. And then that is nothing but the failure of your internal control system. So operational risk includes supply chain risk. Supply chain, if you don't get your supplies on time, you are not able to run your organization or manufacture, and that's a operational risk. Process execution risk. You want your process to be executed, but it's not getting executed because of something or the other reason. Human
Correct.
resource risk. You wanted maybe you wanted some human resources
Mm.
in some numbers, or you wanted maybe you're not getting those numbers. That's a risk. Or you have they have been trained for some task, but they are not working accordingly. There can be a number of reasons. Correct. Employee
Correct.
turnover. Employees are leaving the organizations and moving away. That can be a problem. Performance incentive risk. You're not giving proper incentives to your employees. That can be a big reason. Technology risk, because technology is changing very swiftly, isn't it so? We are seeing
Correct.
every 5 years we are seeing things changing, and
Mm.
glitches, failures, all these are operational risk. Now there are some other things. Even in addition to two specific subsets of operational risk are legal and compliance risk. This is also a subset of operational risk. If suppose you have taken a land, for example, and that land is a litigated land, then it's an operational risk. Can you operate on that? Someone
Yeah.
comes and claims that that is my land. That's a problem.
Exactly.
Compliance risk. If you don't comply with rules and regulations, you are not following the environmental standards.
Mm.
Let's say a small example of compliance risk. Compliance is nothing but not following rules and regulations of the government. So what will happen? That will again they'll come in, they'll put they'll like shut down the company, isn't it so? They'll put heavy penalties on your company, isn't it so?
True. Right. Right.
That's the operational risk. Financial risks are connected to the financial health of the company. Capital availability is one of the most important financial risks. Financial risk can also arise from volatility of foreign currencies. So this is what. So you wanted some capital, but you're not getting.
Mm.
Again, that's a financial risk. Okay, or your company going into losses again can be a financial risk. You have invested heavily in foreign countries and the currency is falling now, can be a financial risk. Correct.
Right. Right.
I invested in US and the dollar is depreciating. So
Mm.
for me it's not good, na?
It's not good. Yeah.
Yeah. So if dollar appreciates against rupee, if I exchange dollar into rupees, I'll get more rupees. But dollar depreciating, I'll get less rupees. Not good for me.
Exactly.
Further financial risks can result from concentration of customers and receivables, lack of liquidity. Market, people have there's recession and people have less money to spend. Again, that's a risk. Need to comply with accounting. See, if accounting
These are
standards are
the
not,
these are the financial risk, right? The one.
Financial risk, yeah. Non-compliance with accounting standards, non-compliance with reporting standards, non-compliance with regulatory requirements of like stock exchange commission,
Uh,
tax not following tax rules, etc. This comes under compliance also. It's a
okay.
part of compliance even. Let me be clear. Then borrowing money creates a form of financial risk for the following reasons. If you're not able to pay, company is
Mm.
going into losses.
Yep.
Okay, much more volatility or variability in your income generation.
Mm.
Hazard risk events that can be insured against, like you can insure that, like natural disasters, death of a key employee, personal
Mm.
injury on the business premises. This is also one of the risks, correct?
Right.
Considering these four types of risk: volatility and time on futures that impact the risk. Volatility is nothing but inconsistency of results, what you expected and what you're not getting is because of
Correct.
volatility, correct? And time is
Correct.
a very crucial element in this, because time is something which which is a very key element, isn't it? So
Mm-hmm.
if we promise someone to something to someone and not doing that in that time, then it's a risk.
Correct.
If you are overrunning, like if some employees are not coming, there's a strike, you're not able to fulfill your project, then what happens? They levy penalties and fines on you, or they may
Mm-hmm.
cancel the order. That's a risk.
True.
Internal and external risk can also be classified as internal, external. Examples of internal risk include infrastructure risk events, such as changes to the organization or its policies. Changes can cause a decrease in customer satisfaction, leading to customer complaints. Okay, expansion of facilities carries a risk of lack of demand for the increased production. So you don't have proper infrastructure, maybe. So then
Uh-huh.
again, you are not able to fulfill what you have promised, maybe. Then you may have issues, correct?
Correct.
That means you have constraints, you have space constraint, maybe, and
Correct.
immediately you're not getting some other space, so that can increase, that can lead to a risk now.
Right.
And if you are, if secondly, if you are producing very much but lack of demand, so again that increased production is of no use, again that's a risk. You have to sell it in the market, not getting, not able to sell it. Now, process related risk events, such as changing the way a product is manufactured. You are changing the process completely, and suppose let that's not working out, that's not like accepted by the people,
True.
then internal technological risk events, such as introducing new software, and that software is can fail even, correct? That's a risk. So examples of external risk: competition, regulation, supply chain disruptions, political risk. Competition, of course, the action of competitors. Based upon that, we have to even change our decisions at times. That's a risk.
Right.
Like harsh regulations and supply chain disruptions, political risk. All these are risk factors. Okay.
True.
So basically, we have done the first unit. We will do the second next unit in the next coming session.
Can't hear you. Next
No,
unit.
I'm saying this we will do in the next session, because we have completed one unit. I'm saying
Okay.
in risk management, we have understood about the types of risk. Now only the management process is what we have to look.
Okay. So I will go through tomorrow this ethics and risk management tomorrow.
Okay, okay. Because I'm going to wind up this in coming 3 or 4 classes. I
Okay.
think easily we can finish this, and then we can go for, till that time you will also prepare your ethics and this as well, both, so that we can do questions collectively. Okay.
Okay. Okay. ठीक है. For ratio, sir, we will plan one certain week if possible, or any 3 days
You tell
ratios के
me
लिए.
any time. You just give me all your queries. We will
Hmm.
plan that. I will plan that accordingly.
Uh,
First, I should
मतलब
get the questions what you're not getting. First, I should get the list of that. Correct.
now I don't made a list of it, but of course I have a few issues in profitability only when it comes
You,
different
you
kind of.
see. I will send you the videos once. After going through them again, if you have those issues, we will discuss.
मेरा प्रॉब्लम है ना सर जब क्वेश्चन जब कुछ और पूछते हैं ना वेरी
That is
डिफरेंट
what I'm
डिफरेंट
saying. If
फॉर्मूला.
you can, I'm calling once again. 2 minutes.